The lights in the high-security wing went out all at once. Not slowly. Not one by one. All at once. Inside Stammheim Prison, guards froze in place as the long concrete hallway fell into darkness. Emergency lights were supposed to turn on right away. They didn't. For 5 full seconds, the prison was completely black. Then someone screamed. It was not a guard. It came from inside a cell that was supposed to be empty. When the lights finally flickered back on, officers ran toward the sound. The cell door was open. The lock had not been broken. The metal was cold, untouched. Inside the cell, written across the wall in dark red letters, was a single word. Still here. No prisoner was inside. That cell belonged to a man transferred from Berlin 3 weeks earlier. A man officially listed as alive. A man who had just vanished. And that was only the beginning. Stammheim Prison sits on the edge of Stuttgart, Germany. From the outside, it looks calm. Clean roads. Tall fences. Watchtowers standing still against the sky. People drive past every day and never look twice. But inside those walls is a different world. Stammheim is known for holding some of Germany's most dangerous extremists and terrorists. Men considered too risky for normal prisons are sent here. They are watched closely. Isolated. Controlled. Many are kept alone for most of the day. Silence is part of the punishment. For decades, Stammheim has carried a dark reputation. The prison has seen famous trials, violent pasts, and long years of fear. But what began happening recently felt different. Quiet. Hidden. It started with transfers. Men were moved in from Berlin, Hamburg, and Frankfurt. These were not normal transfers. They happened late at night. No press. No notice to families. Guards noticed the pattern first. The men all went straight into high-security isolation. No yard time. No group activities. Limited medical visits. The official reason was security risk. But no one explained the risk. One of the first new prisoners was Daniel Moore, a former extremist tied to a radical group years earlier. He had been quiet in prison. No trouble. No threats. Yet he arrived at Stammheim in full restraints and was placed in isolation immediately. Daniel told a guard on his first night, "I was warned this place doesn't let you leave." The guard laughed it off. 3 weeks later, Daniel disappeared. According to records, he was still inside his cell. According to guards, his cell was empty. No broken locks. No alarms. No explanation. The prison reported a record error. That word would be used many times after. Life inside Stammheim followed strict routines. Prisoners woke up to loud metal doors. Food trays slid through slots. Conversations were rare. Everything echoed. Isolation made time feel strange. Prisoners said days blended together. Some said they stopped sleeping. Others said they heard footsteps at night that never stopped outside any cell. One man, Eric Lawson, transferred from Hamburg, claimed he heard whispering through the vents. Not random sounds. Words. Names. He told a guard the vent said his name. The next day, Eric lost his privileges. No calls. No books. No explanation. Guards were told not to talk about the incidents. But fear spread anyway. Officer Mark Davis had worked at Stammheim for 12 years. He knew every hallway, every door sound, every routine. He said the prison felt wrong. Cameras froze at random times. Doors unlocked slower than usual. Some doors unlocked when they shouldn't. Mark once found a high-security door slightly open during night rounds. The log showed no access. Inside the room was nothing. But the air felt warm. As if someone had just left. The prison leadership blamed software updates. Guards didn't believe it. Prisoners felt it worse. A man named James Carter, moved from Frankfurt, said the lights in his cell blinked every night at the same time. 3:11 a.m. exactly. When he asked about it, guards said nothing was wrong. Then James was moved deeper into isolation. No one heard from him again. Families outside began to worry. Phone calls were cut short. Visits were cancelled. Lawyers complained that their clients looked scared, tired, and confused. The prison said security levels had increased. That was all. Inside the high-security wing, one corridor became known among guards as the Quiet Hall. Not because it was silent. Because nothing showed up on cameras there anymore. The screens showed static. Every time technicians fixed it, the feed failed again within hours. That corridor held only 6 cells. 3 were listed as occupied. 3 were listed as empty. But guards heard movement in all 6. One night, Officer Mark Davis was assigned to that wing alone. As he walked, he heard slow breathing behind him. He turned. Nothing. His radio crackled. A voice came through, "Not control. Don't log it," the voice said. Mark dropped the radio. When backup arrived, the radio log showed no transmission. The following week was the worst yet. A full lockdown was ordered without warning. All prisoners were locked in their cells for 48 hours. No explanation. No incidents listed. During the lockdown, prisoners banged on doors, shouted, begged for answers. Guards were told to ignore it. On the second night of lockdown, the power failed. Emergency lights came on this time, but weak. In the quiet hall, cell doors began unlocking. One by one. Guards rushed in. Inside one cell, they found a man curled on the floor, shaking. It was Daniel Moore. The same man who had disappeared weeks earlier. He was alive. But he did not recognize anyone. He only kept saying, "They never left. They never left." Medical staff tried to move him. Before they could, the lights went out again. When they came back on, Daniel was gone. The cell door was locked. Guards stood in shock. This time, there was no record error. No report. No explanation. That was the night the writing appeared on the wall. The empty cell. The red letters. Still here. As guards secured the wing, alarms suddenly blared again. Doors unlocked across the corridor. From deep inside the prison, heavy footsteps began moving fast toward the high-security wing. And then, every monitor in the control room showed the same thing. A single cell door opening by itself. The cell that was never supposed to be used again. The cell door on every monitor opened at the same time. In the control room, guards stared at the screens. No one touched a button. No command was given. The system showed green lights, meaning the doors were opening on purpose. But no one was doing it. Officer Mark Davis grabbed his radio and shouted for lockdown. His voice echoed, but control did not answer right away. For a few long seconds, the prison felt frozen in time. Then the alarm screamed. Guards ran toward the high-security wing. Heavy boots hit the floor. Keys rattled. Orders were shouted. But the sound that filled the hall was louder than all of it. Footsteps. Not running. Walking. Slow. Calm. Coming from inside the quiet hall. When officers reached the corridor, they stopped. All 6 cell doors were open. Inside 3 cells, prisoners sat frozen on their beds, eyes wide, faces pale. They were alive, but shaking. They would not speak. Inside the 4th cell, there was no one. Inside the 5th, the walls were covered in scratches, fresh and deep. Inside the 6th cell, the one that was never supposed to be used again, a man stood in the center of the room. It was Daniel Moore. Again. Guards shouted for him to get down. Daniel did not move. He looked thinner. Older. His eyes were dark, like he had not slept in weeks. He opened his mouth and said softly, "They keep count now." Then he smiled. The lights went out. When emergency lights flickered back on, Daniel was gone. This time, every guard saw it. No alarms. No door movement. Just gone. The prison went into full emergency lockdown. Every wing sealed. No one in or out. Guards were ordered not to speak to prisoners. Official reports later called it a psychological episode. But no one believed that. The next morning, prisoners were questioned one by one. Most said nothing. A few cried. One man, Thomas Reed, transferred from Frankfurt, finally spoke. He said at night, men walked the halls who were not guards. He said they stopped outside cells and whispered numbers. When asked what the numbers meant, Thomas shook his head. "They're counting how long you disappear," he said. After that interview, Thomas was moved. Deeper into isolation. No one saw him again. Life inside Stammheim became harsher. Isolation times grew longer. Lights stayed on all night. Food portions were reduced. Privileges were taken for no reason. Guards were told to follow orders and ask no questions. Some guards asked anyway. They were reassigned. Officer Mark Davis was one of them. He was moved off the quiet hall and placed on desk duty. He knew that was a warning. From his desk, he reviewed old records. That's when he found something strange. Some prisoner names appeared more than once. Same name. Same photo. Different dates. Different cells. It looked like the same man had been transferred into Stammheim multiple times. That should not be possible. One name appeared again and again. Daniel Moore. Listed as arriving. Listed as transferred. Listed as present. Listed as inactive. All at once. Mark printed the records and hid them in his locker. That night, as he left the prison, he felt someone behind him. He turned. No one. But his locker door was open. The papers were gone. Inside his locker, written in marker, were 2 words. Stay quiet. Inside the cells, prisoners felt it too. One man said his cell door opened during the night, just a few inches, then closed again. Another said he woke up standing, not knowing how he got there. Medical staff reported rising panic and confusion. The prison ignored it. Then came the incident with the cameras. Every camera in the high-security wing turned on at once. Not to show the corridor, but to show inside the cells. Live. Guards watched as prisoners sat alone, scared, whispering to themselves. Then one screen changed. It showed a cell no one recognized. Inside it, several men stood shoulder to shoulder. All wearing prison clothes. All staring straight into the camera. Their faces were blank. One of them stepped forward. It was Daniel Moore. He spoke clearly. We were never transferred, he said. We were stored. The feed cut out. Power failed across the wing. Prisoners screamed. Doors began unlocking again. From deep inside Stammheim, something heavy slammed against metal. Over and over. Like someone trying to get out. And then, in the quiet hall, a new cell door slowly opened. From the inside.